Good morning. This is Arlan Suderman, Chief Commodities Economist at StoneX, giving you the May 1st update. It's a little before 9 a.m. this morning, coming to you from the trading floor. And wanted to give you an update since the reciprocal tariff started on April 2nd. I'll be traveling tomorrow and unable to bring you a video tomorrow. So today's kind of my 1 month update of where we stand with the markets. A little bit of a risk on since this morning. We started off a little bit higher in the grain and oil seeds, lower in the energy markets. We've kind of reversed that with crude oil now pushing higher. We traded down toward the $56 level overnight, which is well below cost of production for many producers here in the United States. And that seems to be finding some buying interest now this morning as we get into the day's session. Grain and oilseed markets yesterday saw some end of the month book squaring, profit taking, so to speak, and that kind of continued into the overnight. Then we saw some sell off this morning with essentially kind of nearly ideal weather conditions now developing, at least in the near term, for both much of the Plains wheat belt as well as the Midwest corn belt. We should see rapid planting progress for corn and soybeans as we get into next week and really in the first half of the month of May at least. Some longer term concerns about whether that drier pattern will hold, but overall looking good for getting the crop planted, and that's the current concern right now. But export demand remains strong for corn. Wheat getting competitive again with the price break that we saw the day prior to yesterday, and so getting a little bit of end user coverage there as well. Still watching the dryness in Russia, but things looking much better here in the United States. Now, as we look at the bigger picture of where we're at now, essentially 1 month later, it's interesting to note in the grain and oil seeds, the soybeans are basically where they were on April 2nd, very close to where they were on April 2nd when the reciprocal tariffs are announced. Corn prices are actually higher on that strong demand, and wheat prices lower as we've really struggled to find that demand there in the wheat market. So really trading separate from the tariff news. The tariff's really not affecting them too much. We continue to see soybeans trade to China, largely believed to be Sinograin, their state grain buying agency, which is essentially immune from the tariffs. Now, on that note, we are seeing more words come out with about China exempting items that they want to buy from the United States from the 125% retaliatory tariffs. Reuters carried a story about how China has put together a white list of those products. That's a state secret, essentially, but a couple of sources had told Reuters about that white list, and that list continues to grow, it appears. Now, while it's not public, that list isn't. China is apparently notifying suppliers very quietly, hey, your products have been whitelisted, and there's no tariffs on them, so go ahead and send them. And apparently some sources say that that suppliers in the United States have been contacted by people in China saying, hey, check with authorities, see if yours can be whitelisted as well. So China continues to hold a hard line publicly. And it was interesting that yesterday they released a video that was titled Never Kneel Down. And it had international subtitles in different languages, and it was created, appeared to be as propaganda to try to get other countries to join it in standing up against the bullying of America and to stand strong against America, because America, according to China, has been the country with the unfair trade practices for many years and has been bullying the world around, and China calling on other countries to join it in standing up against the United States. And so it's really taken that tough stance. Now, as I've mentioned before, within China, there's a strong sense of nationalism where the message is controlled, and they've heard, the people there have heard this message over and over again. And so they see Xi Jinping, the president of China, as the lone world leader willing to stand up against the so-called bully. And so he enjoys tremendous popularity right now. And to show these exemptions would show a weaker position. And so that's why they're being held quiet. But overall, he's doing what he can to try to minimize the pain to its citizenry of this tariff war. There's also reports, unconfirmed sources have said, told Reuters that the government is surveying industries to see what the impact of the tariffs is on them so they can make that assessment. Now, as we look here in the United States, today we got first time claims for unemployment benefits, and those did jump to 241,000, up from 223,000 the previous week. So we did see that increase. Continuing claims saw a substantial jump of was it, I think, 83,000 as well. So a significant jump there in continuing claims, although the 4-week moving averages in both of those numbers did not see that big of an increase, but something we need to watch. Today's Challenger job cut report showed announcements of potential layoffs in April at 105,441. Now, corporations are required by law that if they think there might be layoffs, they have to give notice of those ahead of time. And so in March, we saw a big surge in those numbers to 275,240. So today's number is a significant pullback, although still at a historically high number relative to where we've been in recent years post-pandemic. So what this tells us in March, with the unknowns of the reciprocal tariff still ahead of them, they went ahead and gave notice in case they need to lay off workers. That concern is still there this month, but eased. We didn't escalate that concern, it eased somewhat. So a little bit of perspective overall there. As we're going forward now, you look at the major stock indices, and they're trading, getting close to where they were on April 2nd. We've been trading in the top range of the month of April for the most part, and we're getting close to where we were April 2nd. The market is adjusting. Now, to be fair, we haven't dealt yet with the hard data coming from the tariff war. That's just starting to come in now. So the market's going to have to deal with that as well. If the market handles that, then you would expect consumer sentiment to start improving once again, but that's not a given. We still have that hard data to go through, and there are some indications that it could show some problems in the economy going forward. But overall, this is a reason why President Trump needs to see some successes, needs to announce some completed deals, some specific completed deals. The White House says they're close, they're very close on a couple of them, but we need that momentum in order to show and to reassure the markets and reassure the consumer that that is happening. And that would also further isolate China. On the other hand, if they don't get those agreements, then that gives China more of an edge to hold out strong. So that's why these coming weeks are very pivotal for the Trump administration. So that's today's wrap up for May 1st. And I'll be back with you next week with more videos. And encourage you to have a blessed weekend, and we'll be back with you then. Thank you.